that I would not. I feel good.
Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. This is the Prima Pediatrics Healthcare Hour with Dr. Feldman. And I am Kyle Jellings. And you can find more information at primapediatrics.net. You can also call 424-9000, or you can keep listening, and we can give you some tips, some health tips for your kids going back to school. And you want to talk about sports?
Yes.
In that, how do you want to take this? Do you want to go with playing sports, importance of it?
Let's talk about playing sports, exercise, the whole business.
Okay.
First of all, these days, unfortunately, there has been such a switch in emphasis onto the 3 R's without really doing better on them, that a lot of physical education and health education has gone the way of God knows where, so that not all our kids are getting daily PE, which they need in addition to recess.
Okay. Yeah.
They need physical education.
Absolutely.
And this comes from somebody whose family considered it a badge of honor to never get more than a C in gym. Okay. And I'm the only one in the family who got actually B's and B minuses.
All right,
They wanted to know what
congratulations.
was wrong with me. But I am telling you that as much as we don't like to do that, and as cerebral as some of us would like to be, without exercise, our brains are going to starve.
Okay.
And that's a really important component of being able to be educated. If you don't get enough exercise, again, just like sleep, you can't pay attention.
Really? So what happens to the body when you don't exercise? What's going on with the
metabolic
body?
rate slows down. In fact, the biggest thing I learned as far as that's concerned has to do with TV. Now, as far as I knew from before, everybody knows TV's not great for you because it shows too many food commercials, so you're more likely to get up and get something to eat that you don't need, and you sit and snack, and you're not moving or exercising, you're sitting and watching. But there's something else about TV that most people don't know, and that I didn't know until about 4 years ago, and that is that when you watch TV after the first 10 minutes, it actually changes your brain waves, such that you go into a state of what's similar to transcendental meditation. And what that does is decreases your metabolic rate.
Whoa.
So not only are you putting too much energy into your body by eating too much food, not using up enough energy by not exercising, but you're also decreasing the rate at which you're using the energy. So it is a perfect.
Good grief.
It's a perfect way to get fat.
Yeah, that is the perfect storm right there.
Absolutely. When we talk about couch potatoes, we're talking about giant-sized Idahos.
Yeah.
So that's part and parcel of it. And the computers have not been studied that way yet, although there are many of us who think that there may be a similar type of effect.
Okay.
But it may not be exactly the same.
A little bit more interactive, maybe a little bit
more,
though.
but not by a whole lot.
Not a ton.
But the interesting thing is that we find with sports, and sports is one way to fill in what the schools have lost in PE. Because if your kids are in sports, they're going to stay active.
And it doesn't matter really what sport.
Makes no difference whatsoever. And there are many kids for whom team sports are not appropriate. These are kids who are super shy, who always get picked last because they step forward, or who perhaps are more clumsy than others, and so they get picked on. You don't want your kid getting picked on
Absolutely
the one
not.
hand. On the other hand, one thing you can learn from sports more than anything else, in addition to getting good exercise, is you can learn how to work as a team, provided your coach knows what they're doing.
And the high schools and schools in this area do know what they're doing, of course.
For the most part, yes, they do. For the most part. And that brings us to the other thing, and that is if your kid's going to participate in sports, they do need to have a sports physical.
Okay.
If they've had a regular physical or a well check sometime in the previous year, that's more than sufficient. Most schools will accept any physical done within the previous year. More than a year, and you got to have your kid come in and get seen.
Okay.
Why? Why is it
Just
that
gonna ask
important? Well, because there are a number of things. Number one, the heart. Every year, there are a small number of athletes in high school who drop dead on the football field because
grief.
they had an abnormal heart rhythm or an abnormal heart that wasn't detected.
Good grief.
So, when you're going for sports, you got to get at least a good family medical history. And if your sports doctor isn't doing that, then you shouldn't be going to them.
Okay.
Okay. that means you got to find out if anybody dropped dead suddenly prior to the age of 45.
Okay.
Because if they did, then that puts you on notice to look into this more carefully. And you got to check their cholesterol, and you got to check the heart itself, make sure they don't have an undetected murmur. I had a child come in for a sports physical, and there was a family history. He looked perfectly fine. I said, well, we'll just run an EKG just to make sure. Whoa, the child had Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, which is an abnormality of the heart rhythm, which he then got fixed and has been an excellent sports participant ever since.
Holy cow.
But he's a kid who could have dropped dead on the field. So, it's one of those things that you say, whoa, sure glad I did that.
Good grief, yeah, so do that.
Do that. So we have to check out the heart. We have to make sure your kid is, if they have asthma, that they're being treated adequately so they don't get so short of breath that they can't perform well.
Or breathe, for that matter.
Matter.
Yeah.
And we need to make sure that their muscles are okay and that there's not a scoliosis that's going to make their spine problem, that they're not going to get a backache, that they're not sitting the wrong way, that they don't have certain other issues that need to be addressed so that they can perform properly. Because the importance of sports can't be underestimated. It is, exercise in and of itself is one of the most important things you can teach your child to do. That and good eating habits and good sleeping habits will put your child on the right track no matter what you do.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, and I know there's a couple things you want to mention, so we're going to go to break. We got one more segment. There's a couple things you want to go over, so we're going to have to quickly do that. But this is the Prima Pediatrics Healthcare Hour with Dr. Feldman on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.